This video will discuss the Vortex function found within our plugins in the RFX folder. So when you're in your built-ins, the CP tab, there is a folder on the left-hand side called RFX. And all of these functions here, the 6 of them, actually work with the RFX Smoke primitive. So what we need to do is actually go into our global primitives here. We're going to drag this RFX Smoke down. And if you're not familiar with this particular primitive, there is another video on this that you can watch to get yourself familiar with it. Now with this RFX Smoke thing, the one thing that we do need is some type of image on this. And an image that works best is something that carries an alpha channel with it. So we have a couple of flare images here. I'm just going to drag one of these down and place it onto our RFX Smoke. Now at the moment when we did that, it doesn't really look like much, but you can tell this image has an alpha channel carried on it by the little black dot beside it. So this represents an alpha channel image. Now once we have that image on the RFX Smoke, we go into the image editor and we can change the mapping to vertex. And once that is changed, it then maps that image onto each individual particle. So now that we have that, we can go into the built-ins, into our CP tab, into the RFX folder. So we're going to drag our Vortex function down onto our RFX Smoke here in the scene tree. And you can see as soon as we do that, how it affects this RFX Smoke. Now I'm going to go and scale this up a little bit so that we can see it. And if I rotate this a little bit, you can see what it's doing. It's spinning the top, or spinning the actual RFX Smoke particles. So let's reset this here. We'll go back into our Vortex settings. Now we have a couple of settings in here, the first one being amount. So if I increase this up to 500, you can see how it kind of increases the speed of that and also the X size of the vortex at the top. If we take it all the way down to a smaller number like 10, you can see how it readjusts that for a second, and now it's more just like an undulating piece right in the middle as opposed to a vortex spread out. Now if we hit the little R next to it, it resets that button back to the amount of 200. We also have inertia, so we could, again, if we increase this, you can kind of see how that affects the RFX Smoke particle as well. Again, you take it all the way down the other side to a smaller number of 10, you can see how it affects this as well. If we come in and rotate this, you can see it's really just a spinning glob mass right now. So we'll reset that rotation there. We'll go back into the vortex. We can reset the inertia. There's also a center X, a center Y, and a center Z. As I increase the center X here, you can see how it kind of offset that center X and kind of offsets the RFX Smoke. There's also a center Y which we can adjust, and when we adjust it here facing us now, we don't notice too much, but when we adjust the center Z, again, it's a further adjustment that's adjusting the Z position of the top part of the vortex. So we can reset all that, take it back to what it was, and there's also a rotation X and a rotation Y. So if we want to rotate this whole vortex towards the top, we can do that on the X, and we can also do it on the Y a little bit too. So a lot of the settings in here that you're going to need are just experimental. Now a lot of the settings too depend on also how your RFX Smoke is set up as well. So whatever settings are in your RFX Smoke is going to affect your Vortex settings as well, and vice versa.